My name's Epic Butter. I'm one of the top ranked players in SoulStrike. I'm back again to talk to you guys about the 2.2 update, the 1.5 year anniversary. Trying to go through some of the recent updates, some of the training, some of the changes, and what that means for you. First and foremost, I really wanted to bring up training. There's a bunch of new stuff. The main one that came out this last time was damage to normal mobs. So giving us that normal mob multiplier, actually a really great quality of life. And I'm assuming that many people really benefit from it, either being able to do more stage or just do more content overall. Anyway, we also have some changes to the merchants. Now, the merchants were kind of outdated in terms of the resources they provide. So now there's more resources. So one of these things that they added new, and this one's Lily, is they added the scrolls. They have a much higher clover count. The timber count is much higher. I do think it's a little overcosted, so I'm probably going to skip it. I'm going to just go through and see what I want. They also have these legendary fire, which is part of the treasures for allies. This is, every time you see this overpowered core, you want it. You end up just needing it so much, and this is so undercosted because you generally have to use flasks and totems to make this. So when you see it, get it. So cheap. Soul Shard, they dropped the price on that, which is great. So that's kind of the merchants. Also in Oscar, they changed a bunch of stuff where I believe you can get Prism Stone and Orbs of Destiny. Oh, Crowley Seals. That's what it is. So the Crowley Seals, what those are is when you summon and say you're just there or you just need a little more, you can get these rings and they work as a universal add a level to any previous collab or so on. It doesn't work on a current collab, but as soon as that collab ends, these seals will work. So these are kind of great to have. Now that he sells them, that's really good, but I'd kind of keep them around for like a rainy day and just kind of, use them as needed. I would not use them willy-nilly. These are extremely expensive, but they can be worth it and really clutch. So then you don't over summon on a pity when you really just need like one or two more. This really helps you kind of control the pity amount. So it kind of helps the grief. And that's really great. Outside of that, Charles didn't change much. He's still selling mythical gear. So that's the kind of the gist of the merchants. Now, in theme of changes, I'd like to go check out the black market because a lot of stuff has changed there. And with the changes in the black market, that changes will come up with relics and how you buy things. One of the changes here is we now get this ancient augite, which is a leveling material only. So you can just use this to level and you can just use this to summon, which is really, really good. We didn't really have this before, so a lot of people would just never level a lot of their relics, only keep it for summoning, and kind of creates this situation where you're always starved for it. Now, this at least you get something where you can just level. Don't worry about it. That's pretty great. That's pretty great. Going to the black market, they've really expanded who's in there. So we used to say in the select tickets, get who's not in the black market. Well, guess what? Everybody on the select ticket is in the black market now. So whatever you get, they're in there. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to just show you mythical allies. Now they've really expanded it. I think it was after Aisha you couldn't get him, but now like we see Eveness and Avalanche. So everybody's there. Everybody you see in the select tickets, you can get in the black market now, which is really, really great. So my suggestion on how to purchase them, what to purchase, is really make sure you unlock all of them first and foremost, and then just buy what you can when you can. And what I mean by that is now, before it was like, oh, you unlocked a relic, do you really need to level more? Now you do, because there's a new thing called relic lines, and you really want to level up your relics. So before it was kind of you unlock as many as you can, you level up, and you kind of leave it there because there's not really a benefit to leveling up. Now there's a huge benefit to leveling up. So that gold towards buying relics actually can be pretty worth it if you have the gold to spare. I would say gold priority is skills, allies, then relics, and then enhance if you can. So yeah, relics can get pretty important. For me though, I've got pretty much everything max, so I'm just going through and buying everything in the market because I need to spend that gold. Spending that gold. So I hope I made it clear enough. The main goal of the black market is for you to, first and foremost, unlock everything. Secondly, upgrade the skills and relics that you're using. And then you want to level up all the relics that you can and level up all the skills and allies that you can to really bring them to that next level. And allies and skills also have a next level that makes it worth it for you to continue to keep purchasing from the black market. So talking about the relics and their next level, they have something called ability lines. So what ability lines are, they're kind of similar to your normal ability lines. They're kind of similar to your class lines. They're kind of additive. You don't have this addition to it. Currently, right now, what you see is what you get. So when you look at a relic and you look at the ability, this is what you get. You get an additional plus 39, plus 36. Doesn't seem like a lot in comparison to your abilities or your class, but when you think about it, adding all of these relics and skills ended up giving you like an additional 300 plus lines. So it's just a ton of stats. And what I like about it is you start getting this at as early as A3. So this one opens at A3, this one opens at 5. So the lower ones will start opening up. And this is a really good on-ramping for you to gain more power early game. So the general recommendation on how to do this is me, I kind of just said, hey, if it's B or above, I'm going to keep it. And right here, you see I have a C grade. Well, it's actually something that's still positively impacting my overall build. So I left it and I moved on to the next one so I can kind of work on something that actually isn't helpful. Like right now, this is not helpful. So I'm going to see if I can roll it. And yeah, I got a C attack. Not happy with it, but you know what? I'll move on to the next thing. And here's a crit rate, 3%. Yeah. I don't know if that one was actually an upgrade, but that's the general idea. You want to actually just keep moving and just keep going through and just try to get everything useful. For me, it's get everything useful and then slowly work on making them better. On Discord have been really smart people like Go from Amalgamation who have made calculators. Give him a shout out, say thank you to him. He's got a calculator. If you ask nicely, he'll point to where he shared it in the public Discord. And you can use that and figure out how to really min-max your character. So that's kind of the relics and their new power level in a nutshell. Now, the allies and skills, the traditional allies and skills got a new level, and their new level is called Transend. And we can kind of see what the Transend does in the archive books. So the archive, this is where you can kind of see. So currently there are 2 skills in each element and 2 allies in each element that have a transcended level. Okay, so we can kind of take a look at fire. Fire, the current transcendent skill that's worth using is Icarus. This just came out yesterday, so a lot of people are still looking at it, but it's fantastic. I wish I was still fire build. Not, Chronos gear forced me into Earth, so I'm Earth now. So I've kind of lost a little bit of touch with fire, but as far as I know, Icarus for fire build for transcendent is where it's at. For the water skill, I haven't actually heard any noise about this. And I think really water is probably waiting for Frostlord's Touch. I almost said the name everyone has on Discord. I had to think there for a second. Zeus's Lightning, Zeus's Wrath is pretty great. I haven't seen a lot of noise about Bound. So for this, I've heard that this is okay. The crit damage, I actually haven't looked at the math myself to see if it's actually really multi. I've seen people say it's okay and go for it. It's okay to transcend. And for this one, Radiant Judgment is where it's at for its damage. So that's kind of the skills of what to transcend. So let's go back and just say it again. Radiant Judgment and Gravity Distortion Field, Zeus's Wrath, and then Icarus. And what I will say about Transcendence right now is I wouldn't rush for it because it seems like they're going to add another Transcendent ally every month. Maybe they'll start making it faster. But what we've seen is almost every 2 weeks, there's a new fire ally that is trumping the next fire ally. So I wouldn't rush into it. I would really try to build up your resources and just grab who you can when you can. Because otherwise, I just think it's kind of a huge griefing. And really, you should be probably saving for the next collab or the next third rally or something. So that's kind of where my feelings are on this. But In any case, let's go talk about the allies. Akiri got a lot of good fanfare, but again, got trumped by Duke. Duke is like the king of fire. So if you're fire and you want like a transcendent ally, yeah, Duke is where it's at. Right now, it's Bianca and Mona. My understanding is Mona seems powerful, but there's not really a slot for her, given that Narissa's there, Jaina's there, Charlotte's there, and then really you've got K Mama, which is super good. And you kind of frog due to the frog kind of synergy with the relic. And that's kind of a build specific thing. But generally, if you were playing the collab, you want to use a frog with the frog relic. And that's all you really need to know. And then you have Narissa. So your 5 ally slot is kind of full. So let's recap. Narissa, Bianca, Kimama, Charlotte, and Jaina. Yeah, that's 5. All right. And anyway, here we have the wind allies. There has not been any wind ally that I've heard is a must upgrade. So I bet you everyone's either waiting for Eve, or we'll see if they really go crazy with Vesper or Nike, but that's not what I've seen so far. And then for Earth, they just upgraded Zeros. Zeros to me, he's okay. He's always been one of those just okay characters. I'm not in love with him. Yeah, I don't know. I'm Earth myself. Wrath actually is interesting to me, and since I'm Earth now, and I actually do have Wrath Transcended, he's been helpful for me in a Laurent and Wrath kind of combo for higher endgame purification. He's not as strong as Laurent, but he actually holds his own. I don't know how else to say it. He has moments where he's really nice to have, and he can really help out. So I don't regret transcending him, but he's not someone I would use on a regular basis. It's like a very specific situations that I end up turning to Wrath. So he's not my main, but he's good. Now, for the physical allies, I believe it was Lino, which I heard did okay, but it didn't really push the needle for physical builds, to my understanding. And Yuna, I actually have not heard about at all. I'll double check. I'll probably post in the comments and find out. One of my teammates is a physical build, but I think he might have spent all his transcendence on Lino, so he doesn't know. But in any case, that's the transcendence currently today. I'm not a huge must go rush to get these power up, super powered allies. I think, as you summon, you get the material, and yeah, just when you get a chance and you have an opportunity, I think they will kind of anchor your team in a DPS sort of way, or like a utility sort of way. So that's, I think, what you should look out for is like when you get those 100 transcendent stones, that's the moment that like you really got someone that will anchor your team. And you really want someone that you'll use for a while, because it does take a lot of summons to get there. So now, what's next? Dual Refine. This is a huge new piece of content. And I think this is just really to start giving people more damage to kind of level set so they can start playing in content. Generally, what I will say is the first 5 levels, extremely impactful. Go for it as soon as you can. The next 5 levels is actually, you start having some diminishing values, so it doesn't feel as great. So I would say go for the first 5 level, or go for the first 5. Make sure that you got your first, 6 to 12 legendaries for your gear, and then start going crazy on these. It'll be super impactful as you build them and as you get your refinery up, I guess. Sorry, I don't know. It just says refined jewel. I guess this is the jewel refinery, but you don't get jewels back. You just kind of put them in the abyss and you get strong. So I don't know what to call it, but that's a huge piece of content for power. And I think it has to do with just because a lot of players are just kind of piling up a bunch of jewels with like nothing to do. The one thing I don't like though is that it is forcing a huge amount of stress. And this is a terrible example, mainly because I've never stopped playing Field Boss. My clovers come from a time when you could actually change goo into clovers. So I had like a huge bank of clovers. So I'm not a good example, but most people are suffering from not enough clovers. So this puts a huge strain on that. Like if you are already running near 0 and you are just chasing it, now you've got this endless abyss that will just constantly eat your void and your clovers. So really you really need to play field boss as much as possible, and you really need to really buy, clovers, buy whatever you need. Now, maybe don't buy clovers because clovers come from mythical gear that you can smash, but yeah, play content, get like free gear, get, just do stuff that you can. Now, another piece of content that came out that I think came with mixed fanfare. I'm not a huge fan of it, mainly because of the implementation. It's called the Masterforge. So the Masterforge is like, to me, a giant RNG power machine. And the reason why I say that is because I believe that it is incredibly griefy. So let's talk about the mechanics of it, and then I'll talk about why it's griefy. So you go here, you go to Masterforge, and you can pick an item, and you select the part, and then you'll take these scissors, you'll take a soul crystal, and you'll take some clover, and you smash it. Now, at level 1 through 5, like 1 through 7, I think is actually fairly well costed. But once you get to higher levels, the last one costs 300 scissors, and it is painful. The main mechanic here is as follows. As you hit the Masterforge and you hit yes, what happens is one of these will go up in a level. For your first star, at stage 4, you will 2x it. And then if the star lands on the same thing, it will multiply the stats by 4. If you land the same one, the same star on the third time, the same one, it'll times 10. So basically, you'll get like a huge boost in power. Now, I don't actually think anyone's I haven't seen a plus 12 so hard. I have a few opportunities here with this guy. This one I probably will redo eventually. I have I have a few opportunities, but it's not looking so hot, guys. But that's Masterforge. Now, the reason why I'm not a huge fan of it is I think the scissors are way too rare. For how many times I've swapped gear in the 1.5 years that I played this game, I would need so many scissors that I don't know how I feel about being so locked. Because what happens is that you're like investing into what you think is your best gear, but really the best gear is your composition. It's all about balance. So like if you find something better for you, but the stats are lower, it's going to take a while for you to build up to it. So it doesn't feel good. It's like, oh, I found this great piece of gear, but I can't use it. I don't like that feeling. So here we have the resource is so rare because it comes out once a week where you fight the world boss, and depending on the rewards, you can get scissors. Now, for the majority of players, you're going to land somewhere in the probably the 20 to 10 range if you're a new player, because it's a global ranking, right? So when you play and you're a new player, you're not getting a lot of scissors. You're really getting like a very small amount of scissors, which is okay in the beginning because you're kind of like clicking on it once a week, and you're kind of upgrading what you think will be your best gear. But overall, like I think it really should be as common as Void. Like every time you go in here, I think you should be getting like 10 of these because of how often you switch your gear, because of how hard it is to get plus 12. Like I don't think that it should be easy, but it's already incredibly hard right now. And so the amount of damage you do and the amount of power that's in here is really not, to me, justified for the grief that it can provide. So that's my opinion. I'm not a huge fan of this mechanic. It is what it is, and I'm just trying to make the best of it. But my opinion and my recommendation is make sure you do the content and make sure that when it comes out once a week, it's the day after GVG. So in the US, that'd be on Saturday night. My recommendation is just make sure you do it. Make sure that you spread out your scissors. So what I mean by that is you can first Masterforge your weapon. So you first Masterforge your weapon, because if you have a good weapon, any of these lines is going to be a net upgrade. So then, you do this, you do this, and plus 4, it feels good, no problem. Then the next one that I would recommend for plus 4 would be your accessory. If you have a stigma that is a 4-liner already, great, because then like anything that you do will be good. Then here's where it gets a little harder. Like here I got you could say I got griefed, but then over here I got +2. But generally you have 3 lines. So for me, I had 2 lines. So I got incredibly lucky here. I'm probably going to get super griefed, but it's fine. So yeah, you first do these, then the safest item after that, generally for most players, is going to be your hair if you've been developing a good hair for the end game. My recommendation for a hair would be something like this, where you have move speed or MP to like a mix of these 3 lines. If you can get ally resonance, that's exactly what you want because it's one of the rarest attributes in the game that raises your ally level. So this is kind of best in slot. Then, and I'm really trying not to make this a gear video, but you know, a 0-line face is okay, a 0-line Chronos body is okay, and this, you know, stigma is kind of what you're hunting for. So that's kind of the what to do for Masterforging. Oh, now we're gonna get into some fun things. PvP. PvP is a new thing. They finally did it. It's a little silly, but it's fun. It's fine. I think there's still a lot of work to be done with it. Because to me today, there's like a attacker's advantage. So as long as you have the right lineup and you're like above a certain power, you're never gonna lose. Right. So when I look at the ally arena, it's all full of people that generally like are winning just because they have the right lineup. So here's my but combat power does matter. So don't go attacking someone who's like stupidly higher level. Now, my recommendation is for your lineup, make sure you engrave the enchant. That means that they'll have the ally enchant in the battlefield when you use them. That's cool. I only have a few left. And my recommendation is for a defense team, I have something like this. For a offense and defense team, I don't really know if it really matters because, like I said, offense has advantage, but you could try. I use Taemama in front. I hope it's front. I don't know. Annabelle second, mainly because she has that silence. Then Aisha because she has that provoke and AoE. Narissa because she has that massive AoE. And then I finish up with Vesper because he's got that nasty fear. So then I'm just going to do some PvP. And here you can see my lineup. Taemama in front, Aisha, Narissa, and I use Zion here and Annabelle. Yeah. And so the reason why like I'm not super like, yeah, you have to do the best you can in PvP is because to me, it's really a race to who can spend the most tickets. I didn't miss like and I'm sure they're still adjusting, but I didn't miss a single day. But I stopped buying tickets with money and I just used what was free and I still got dumped to the lower bracket, even though that I'm pretty sure that the only reason why I got dumped was not because I was weaker or losing to everyone, but probably because like I was just slower than everyone. So I was just by nature on the bottom half of that group that was in the Challengers League. So that's fine. But yeah, that's PvP in a nutshell. What I would recommend getting, and I'm like kind of vain, is I would get all the like weapons first because you get a collection bonus and then get all the armor. This one's final damage. That being said, the Crowley Seal that's probably worth the most is going to be the Relic one, just because relics are so expensive. They're like the most expensive. Now, my other teammate just said that at some point, just getting these every day and just like getting stuff is just free value because it's fairly cheap. You can get one every day. So, you know, there's something to get for playing this. So I would play it. Oof. PvP. Yeah, you get these cool banners too. So this is a challenger banner. This is like the platinum banner. And we are in the masters, I think. So quality of life. There is a bunch of quality of life updates. A lot of them include being able to search for an enchant. So if I wanted to look for Jaina, these have Jaina enchants and I can select that and, you know, throw it on something that I need, which is really, really great. The next thing is super great quality of life to me is the consecutive enhance. Love it. They also have that on slate consecutive and also class consecutive. They also started giving us some more pity. which is always good. Except I don't know what this is. This is ridiculous because, yeah, just double the amount of dreaming that you had, and you'll get one more key. Yeah, okay. Synthesize ultimate jewels. I haven't actually tried to do more because right now I just need mythical jewels. So they need to add more pity on the downrange because we're trying to fill out the stupid refinery. They also added a pity for the SSS class, which I think is really, really good because, like me, if you at some point, like I have max level and I have 9 over max. So it's really, really irritating for me to go all the way up and then I don't get an upgrade. And yeah, for other players, there are moments where you're in like a complete route and you need that last one to kind of fill in and get your upgrade. So, getting that chest box, super, super good. And so what I think about the current state of the game is it's a fun game still. I think that they're doing a lot to try to keep their old players engaged, but they're also doing a lot to try to make sure that new players don't feel like it's impossible to catch up. There is a lot of more power-ups that are available to new players that we got recently. So it's kind of like the ramps that you have to get more power, there's more available. So it is possible to catch up. We do still have a time advantage. We do have a gathering material advantage. And of course, there is the spending aspect of it. But what I will say is the main competition that you should have is really not with global, but with your own stage. And with your own stage, you should be looking at like, okay, like how am I doing? And even then, you shouldn't feel like you have to push yourself too hard, spending aspect of it. But what I will say is the main competition that you should have is really not with global, but with your own stage. And with your own stage, you should be looking at like, okay, like how am I doing? And even then, you shouldn't feel like you have to push yourself too hard, because at a certain point, you get something called stage race, and farming those every other day gets you more ether than just staying on top. So unless you're actually pushing Dream and doing a bunch of nightmare keys all the time, it's probably worth it to just farm all those stage races. But yeah, the main races would be stage race, and the main, weekly challenge would be raid boss. And if you're on top, then that's the race that you should really focus on. And then just look at joining a guild that will help you gain more power that's appropriate for your strength. And what I mean by that is like there are 3 kind of stages in the game. The first stage is like the easy, the hard, and just kind of getting to know the game and starting to get introduced to the Conqueror's world, and now we're calling it the Connected world, and just getting into the hang of like doing tile takeover and doing void all the time. The second stage is like actually fighting in these castles and having a GVG build. So getting to the point where you have a different preset, you have a different set of gear, you've got your Indra, you've got your synergy and your fervent up, and you're now 12 fancy, 9 fervent, you're kind of rocking and rolling. And then the third stage is really the GVG2, the unified world, where we have purification battles. You fight in the GVG towers to get Chronos souls, to get Chronos gear, which super multiplies your power. And Chronos gear right now is like the end game. So like all this stuff is, I'm fairly close to the end of the game, or at least what the game has available for me. So what I would say is enjoy the journey. It's so much fun to finally get like a good Chronos build going. I wasn't super happy that I got an earth weapon and I haven't gotten a weapon that is appropriate for fire, and I can't kind of get the blend to work for fire, so I had to switch to earth. But it is what it is. It made me super strong, so it's kind of like a weird thing to complain about, but I really like fire. I was forced out of fire. It is what it is, to a new piece of gear. So when we find a piece of gear that we want to use, we can. Because I don't know how many times I found like amazing weapon that I want to use, And I can't because guess what? It's not Stigma, or it's not Chronos. I just can't use it. So that's my 2 cents. I've kind of rambled. You know, I'm gonna say thank you for your time. If this sounds choppy, it's because I probably cut it up to take out some of my rambling. But thank you so much for watching. My editor will say like and subscribe. Thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful day. It's always a pleasure.